Early this morning, Hulk Hogan was fired by the WWE because of a racial slur that apparently Hogan made during a conversation that he had with someone about his daughter. Hey, brother, when the Hulkster starts tossing around the N-word, you know there's something wrong. And obviously, that was my best impression of him. But obviously, there's something to this New York Times CBS poll. 57% of Americans saying that race relations in the United States is generally bad. Still with us, we've got Niger and Eric. All right, Eric, the level of discontent about race in this country, obviously statistically alarming. How did this happen? Listen, I'm going to jump right out there and say I blame a lot of this on progressives, but mostly I blame a lot of it on President Obama and his crew, including Al Sharpton.
Now, how are you going to blame President Obama for race relations? This goes back centuries, where this has been a deep divide within our country, and that's what a lot of people are trying to come together to do better.
We're talking about the direction of it getting substantially worse since he's been elected.
Well, I think it has gotten sometimes worse with some people because they did not want to see an African-American president in office.
Enough Americans wanted to see him in that he got in twice.
That is true, but that is a sector of America who are progressive, who don't have a problem with the African-American being being a president, and that has caused a lot of people who are racist to come out and act out.
You know what, Niger? I find, though, that honestly, here's the problem. I think that the average white person is saying, give me a break. I never owned a damn slave. I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage this week. Why do you keep calling me racist, Mr. President? What do you think?
Well, I think there's no question about it. And with all due respect to my colleague Eric, I think what he said is Boulder Dash. I don't buy it for a minute. The fact is this President Obama got a larger share of the white vote than John Kerry when he was the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. Look, our country.
So what does that have to do with people who have racist tendencies, Niger? We're not talking just because 60% of the country is not racist or is inclusive of others. Does that mean the other?
There is no country.
Is not.
Look, understand this. I have traveled, and you all have traveled to Africa, to Europe, to Asia. There's no place on planet Earth where there are not racists. But one thing I can tell you is that no country in the history of the world has come as far as we have in terms of race relations.
I agree with you there. Here's the thing, though, Eric. I think you're misunderstanding this. This is a poll of all Americans. So it wasn't white racists who said race relationships are getting worse. A larger portion of black people are saying that. A larger portion of white people are saying that. In other words, Americans are saying that relationships have gotten worse. It's not about an individual or a small group of people being racist. It's about something's happened here. And I do think that a lot of it, and I'll tell you my theory of President Obama, when he won, President Obama, NAACP, they had an opportunity to say, okay, we've made a giant leap in this country toward being a more perfect union. But if they'd done that, their greatest strength had always been fear, anger, animosity. If you start to remove those, you remove your power base. Maybe your organization loses all of its power. Maybe you can't move the pieces around the table like you used to based on those things.
Now, part of that I do agree with, that some people use fear-mongering in order to increase their base. That is true. But you take issues of police brutality, of police mistreating African-Americans and stopping African-Americans at an alarmingly high rate. That is what causes a lot of people to create a more racial divide. And that's where the perceptions with social media, with cable news, with everything being able to show these things 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that is why people feel that way.
But again,
I'll give a point of agreement with Eric. There is a perception problem, and the reason there's not a reality problem. The reality is race relations have never been better in our country as it is today. But there's no question that there is a perception that there's a racial problem. The reason is because one of the major two political parties, I call it, they have been Al Sharptonized. You know, when Barack Obama was elected president, there was a great deal of promise and a great deal of hope that the race mongering, the racial racketeering of the Sharptons and these types, that we would turn the page on that. Right. But contrary to that, Obama has empowered that agenda and made it a mainstream agenda of the Democratic Party.
It's gotten a lot worse, guys, but I will tell you what I told Stuart Varney this morning. I look at my 18-year-old son and his friends, and I've got a lot of hope. I think you're right. I think it's not as bad for younger Americans, and I hope they can ignore the Sharptonization of this country, trying to hijack the word that you created just now. Thanks a lot. Both of you guys are fantastic.